What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. As we are closing in on the month of August, it's time for us to check out another episode of top 10 newly released free-to-play titles that you can play right now on the month of August. And I'm not gonna lie guys, this month is probably the best month we had so far, especially when it comes to free-to-play game releases. We got some awesome popular game releases alongside some great indie developed titles as well. And as always guys, all the games that I'm gonna mention in this video are completely free-to-play and available to download right now on Steam. So we got a lot to cover in today's video, so sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. Alright, starting the video at number 10%, we got a super fun casual party game called Extreme Tag. It's a free-to-play super fun casual arcade game which is developed and published by Explosive Entertainment. Right now the game represents three main game modes. First one is called Tag, where you simply have to pass the bomb to another person before the time run out and the last person standing wins the game. And the second game mode is called Infection. The concept is very similar, but instead of you passing the bomb, you simply infect the other player. And the third game mode is a really fun game mode which is Hide and Seek, which is something we all used to play as kids. Nevertheless, it's a really fun casual game, especially if you got a bunch of friends to play alongside with you. And the game is still very new to the Steam, having only like 25 reviews right now. Most of them are positive. System requirements are also not that heavy. You can even play this game with a low-end system as long as you have enough RAM to play the game. Alright, next up we got a game called Viper Trace. So it's a free-to-play first-person survival game which honestly recently caught my eye on Steam and actually a really fun game to play. It's mainly a single-player game where you simply have to fight against these hordes of enemies who invaded into these industrial zones, and along the way you will unlock new areas of the map and also new weapons, and you can upgrade them because you have to fight against hordes of enemies. Even though it's a single-player game, you can actually play this game on LAN with another friend of you, which is really cool. It's a very simple game, but it's a really impressive one. Right now the game is having only like 20 reviews, still very new to the Steam, but most of the reviews are mostly positive. System requirements are somewhat higher compared to most of the other games on today's list, so you definitely need to have some kind of a beefy system to play this game. Alright, next up we got another awesome looking single player game called Revenge of the Shadow Ninja. So it's basically a free-to-play side-scrolling action adventure game where you play as a samurai who is in a mission to try to get the revenge and also at the same time try to save your son. In this game you get a bunch of skills you can unlock which help you to destroy different type of enemies and bosses and also to avoid deadly traps, and along the way you can also collect gold which help you to upgrade those skills. It's a very simple but fun single player game you can just download and enjoy at a free time. It's also a very new game to the Steam, having only like 23 reviews and most of them are mostly positive. System requirements are honestly not that heavy. You can even play this game with a very potato system. Alright, next up we got a brand new free-to-play racing game, that is the Engine Evolution 2023. It's a pretty well-known, long-running racing simulation series, and one of the most impressive things about this game, it was made by a single person, actually a student in university, which is really cool, and it's quite awesome to see that he's updating the game every year, adding more content, new features into the game, alongside new tracks, vehicles, and customization options. It's primarily a multiplayer racing game, but definitely you can play the game on single player as well. Right now the game represents 100 plus historical vehicles in the game alongside 40 real custom tracks alongside bunch of other cool features, so definitely give it a try, especially if you're into these type of racing simulation type of games. Right now the game's having more than 85 plus reviews on Steam and most of them are mostly positive. System requirements are also not that heavy, pretty acceptable in 2023. Next up at number 5, we got a pretty cool looking small game that I found on Steam, and that is called Daisho Survival of a Samurai. So it's basically a free-to-play top-down action RPG game which heavily focuses on the survival mechanics as well, but compared to most of the other survival games, these are much more beginner friendly, much more casual, so everybody can enjoy the game. So it's purely a single player, more like an open world survival game where you can collect, craft and build your own village, where you also have to collect and manage resources, building houses, decorations. There are a lot of things that you can do, and also you can complete open world quests which ultimately give you a bunch of resources and upgrades to a village, which is really cool. There's also a pretty cool collection of medieval weapons that you can use, for an example clubs, katanas, bows, spears, and you can also upgrade them and use it against your enemies. Overall it's a really cool game, right now having only like 50 reviews on Steam and most of them are mostly positive. System requirements are honestly not that heavy. You can even play this game with a very low end system. Alright guys, before moving on to the top 5 spot, if you enjoyed the video so far, please go ahead and drop a like on it and also subscribe because we cover tons of free to play games on our channel. So drop a like and a sub, much appreciated. Alright, next up at number 5, we got a super cool looking open world survival crafting game called Dawnlands. So it's basically a big open world free to play adventure game which remind me of some of the Zelda games available on Nintendo. But this game is actually a cross-platform game, which means the game both available on PC as well as on mobile. And the game also supports cross-platform progression, which means you can carry over your progression from one platform to another, which is another really cool feature in my opinion. It's a massive open world game where you can simply explore a variety of biomes, and along the way you will find various type of puzzles and relics you can collect and complete. And you can also play this game both single player as well as online co-op with another person. Overall, it's a really cool survival action adventure game. Right now the game is having more than 1000 plus reviews on Steam, and most of them are right now sitting at mixed category. System requirements are also somewhat higher but definitely acceptable in 2023. Alright, next up at number 4, we got a very unique and interesting looking game called Emergency. So it's basically a free-to-play real-time strategy game where you play as an incident commander and you have to coordinate with other players and respond to different emergency situations happen in the city. Sometimes you have to play as a firefighters and fight against fires and rescue injured civilians. Another time you might have to fight against some gangsters. So you have to be ready to fight against this chaos and save the city from disaster. It's a very unique game where you can play both single player as well as online co-op with up to 4 players. Right now the game is having more than 1300 reviews on Steam, and most of them are sitting at mixed reviews. System requirements are also somewhat higher compared to most of the other games, but definitely give it a try, especially if you're into these type of real-time strategy games. Next up at number 3, we got a very simple casual game but right now getting a lot more popularity on Steam, and that game is called Arrow a Row. Yes, the game had a bit of a weird name, but simply in this game all you gotta do is just shoot arrows in a row in this endless auto runner where you simply have to choose left or right and choose your power up, which help you to ultimately defeat the boss enemies that in the game. It's a very simple casual game but highly addictive in my opinion, and remind me of some of the mobile games available nowadays. And it's purely a single play experience, really cool game. Right now the game is having more than 2700 plus reviews on Steam, and about 97% of them are positive, making the game overwhelmingly positive. System requirements are honestly not that heavy, you can even play this game with Intel HD graphics. Alright, next up at number 2, we got another unique and interesting looking game called Severus Blade. Severus Blade is a free-to-play third-person action adventure game where the player has to take part in the epic journey through the deer-worshipped desert world, and along the way you have to fight and engage with high-octane combat, test your skills, engage in different encounters. And honestly, this game reminds me of some of the games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring, but much more cut-down budget version I would say, but it's definitely not that challenging, especially when it comes to combat. It's purely a single-play experience and highly recommended, especially if you're into these type of dark fantasy action adventure games. Right now the game is having close to like 75 reviews on Steam, and most of them are very positive. System requirements are also not that high, pretty acceptable in 2023. Alright guys, before moving on to the number 1 spot, I also gotta mention a couple of bonus games that was already released onto the Steam on this month. First one is the highly popular multiplayer first-person shooter Overwatch 2, right now available on Steam, and it's completely free to play as well. But with the Steam release, the game got bombarded with mostly negative reviews due to many different reasons, and that's a separate topic for another video. Anyway, the game is available right now on Steam alongside Battle.net. And we also finally got to see the official release of the Marvel Snap, the extremely popular card collectible strategy-based game. Honestly, the game is pretty popular right now on Steam and doing pretty well when it comes to player numbers as well. And I believe previously the game was available as an early access title, but right now it's completely available on Steam. Alright, at number 1 spot, we got a game that is very recently released onto the Steam but getting a lot more popularity nowadays, and it's a game called Eternium. So basically Eternium is a free-to-play action adventure hack and slash type of a game which represents some of the old school action RPG games and heavily focus on the intense tactical fights and decision making. You got few characters to choose from, so you can play as a mage, warrior or a bounty hunter, and also got access to a bunch of weapons like swords, axes and guns. But I personally feel like this game is some kind of a free-to-play alternative to something like an Diablo 4. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of these type of hack and slash games, but that is just my personal opinion. But on Steam the game is really popular right now, having close to like 3000 reviews, and most of them are very positive. And also you don't have to worry about the system requirement. This game can actually run on a very low-end system. Well, that's about it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found some great brand new free-to-play titles to play on the month of August. And definitely let me know down below in the comment section what is your favorite game from today's list. And finally, guys, as always, if you enjoy the video so far, please go ahead and drop a like on the video and also subscribe, because we dedicated this channel to review free-to-play games, so you're definitely in the right place. So I will catch you guys soon in my next video. Stay safe.